Nottingham Forest drew with Burnley at the City Ground, 1 apiece. Was it a good result? Was it 2 points dropped? We're going to get into it all now on Grumpy Old Reds. Evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to another live GOR stream. Coming up on today's episode, we'll be dissecting it down into 3 main topics. We'll be talking about the debutants. How did Callum Hudson-Odoi do? What did you guys think of Sangare? And was Montiel as bad as everyone seems to think he was? We'll dissect the formation. Did it work? Switching to a back 4. Loads of us screaming out for it. But did we get the result we wanted? And would Forest have got the win with a back 5 low block? And is it still early days? Is it too early to judge what's going on? We'll be doing each of these sections, about 15 minutes on each one. So please make sure you get your thoughts in there, ideally related to those subtopics. Get your super chats in. Once I've asked the panels the questions, we'll get onto your thoughts in between each section. Dina, how you doing, bud? You well?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm good.
Good. Esmondo in 3D, non-Minecraft. Good to see. Good to see
Don't
proper
jinx
internet.
Don't jinx it. Early days, guys, but I've got a new internet. Shout out to Jason who did the fitting for me, mate. If you're watching, he's a Forest fan as well. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, we've got it sorted now. But yeah, I'm doing well, mate. Doing well.
Yeah, guys, what do you think of the new 2023 Ez? How's he looking?
I can almost smell him. It's that good.
And finally, last but not least, Forest. And how are you, buds?
Pretty good, thank you. Like everybody else, knackered, but we always are because we work so damn hard at this channel. But yeah, feeling good.
Good. All right, so we got loads of perspectives on the game. I haven't actually caught up with the boys, so I don't really know how they feel about everything that happened yesterday. But who was that? Anne, I want you to kick us off talking about the debutants and your thoughts on them. If we go through them one by one, mate, and boys, pipe in and see what you think, and chat. Start getting your thoughts and comments in there as well.
Yeah, well, there were 3 full debutants yesterday, and 2 came on as subs. So we'll start off with the how can I put it? Perhaps the most unimpressive one, in my opinion, and that was a full debut. He has played as a sub, but a full debut for Montiel. Listen, I'm not writing him off. It's one full game. Well, not even a full game. He came off, but 50 minutes. But I'm not writing him off. But I wasn't impressed with what I saw last night. It was pretty dreadful, to be honest. Both at the back and going forward. Gave the ball away. Got lost in his position. Didn't tackle well. Just not very good at all. He looked a shadow of the player I was hoping he'd be, being a World Cup winner and all, you know. Although I did say there aren't many Argentinian right backs, so maybe being the right back for Argentina is not the be all and end all, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I won't say too much. I'll let the other guys come in. But from my point of view, he had a poor game. And at half time, I said to Ez, I wasn't alone in this. I think everybody thought the same thing. But we need to get him off, move Aina over to the right and put Tavares at left, because it was pretty dreadful. I think you gave him a 3, and I think that was probably about right.
I want to contract it.
One of those was putting on his shirt the right way. So right around. So
I want to contract it a little bit. I felt he started off okay, actually. First 10, 15 minutes, I thought he was decent. I thought he was, with his longer balls, he was finding Elanga in space as well. And he was, he settled well to start with. And then it went downhill from then on, I thought. But I don't know if Dino agrees, but I thought the first 10, 15 minutes, he looked okay. But I don't know. He definitely performance did drop massively, and he did need to be taken off. Also, he was on a booking as well, and it was a liability. So Ant called it right, but he's probably not alone in thinking what needed to be done. But it'd be interesting to see if Dino, what did you think? Did you think he was bad all the way through, or do you think he had a bright spark to start with?
I mean, I'll stretch it a bit further than you. I mean, I obviously was there last night, and I watched it back today again, because you can only see so much from one end of the City Ground, can't you? That's the thing. So I watched it back again today. And for 32 minutes, it was okay. And then he just went to pieces. He did nothing wrong for 32 minutes precisely, and then he put that really bad tackle in, and he was horrendous after that. He made mistake after mistake. I blame him for the goal. He stepped up, let his man behind him. It's like he was playing the offside trap on his own when he stepped up, and then Moore had to cover him. Moore didn't do a great job of covering him, and then he made no effort to get the tackle in. So. Always his fault, in my opinion. And then he carried on second half before he came off just as bad. So it was almost like somebody stuck needles in a voodoo doll at 30 minutes. It's weird.
Were you in the Bridgeford end, do you know?
Yeah. But I watched it back
that explains
on the TV.
it then. That explains it then, because I was in the Trent end, and I'm telling you, mate, he wasn't good for 30 minutes.
I watched it back on the TV today, and I specifically, because I saw the match ratings yesterday, he was one of the ones I was keeping an eye on the TV.
That's fair enough, because I'll be honest with you, I've not watched it back, so maybe I did miss something. But from where he was in front of me, no,
I mean, he's weak in the tackle. I think he's more of a wing back, isn't he? He's not a great tackler. He's not like Aurier tackler.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just a quick one as well. In terms of a crowd, he seemed to be the first one that we did turn on as well, especially around us from where we were. That's what I was hearing a lot of. Get him off. I felt the substitution was right, and it was the right one to make. And he probably needed to be taken off at half time, if anything. But I think the guys around me seemed to get on him first. But I think he started off well. It just definitely deteriorated after that.
I'm not giving up on him. I'm not giving up on him. I mean, that number 30, Collio Show, was it? Collio Show? Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether we didn't do our homework on him, but he reminded me of when we played Leeds down here and Nonto ripped us apart down that left, remember? He reminded me of that, and he ripped us apart all game, even in the second half. And I don't know, I'd have put our best tackler in there. He was obviously their danger man. Everything went down there, down the left, both halves.
Yeah, I think,
he was as effective when Einar switched over to the right. Do you think Einar
he did look like it. I mean, Einar had a great game for me, man of the match, but that was a balance of defending and going forward, I think. It was nice to see him overlap. So defensively, probably not man of the match, but overall, defense and attack, yes, man of the match. But yeah, I mean, he caused us problems in the second half as well.
Yeah. Just before we move on to the second player, let's just get some of the super chats in. And a quick shout out to 007, the absolute legend, has gifted 5 memberships.
Wow.
Proton Jack doing the right thing and thanking him. Well done. Turbocharge, congratulations. You got one of those. Make sure you show some love. And Old School Shredder, cool name. He's got one. And who else has got them? Yeah, my screen just jumped. I think it's Fiona I saw.
Yeah, Proton Jack, I think, as well.
Fiona and Proton Jack as well.
Mate, you need.
Thank you so much. And Crypto with the £2 saying Twist chair is better quality than Montiel. I just want to bring in a couple of the chat's comments on Montiel. I think there's some interesting ones here. DJ Tone saying Lodi and Serge had slow starts to their Forest careers. Don't give up on a player after one game. I'd chuck in Danilo as well. I thought Danilo's debut last season wasn't as great. And Mark saying language barriers, a new league, best league in the world. He will get better in his opinion. Yeah, I think they're fair comments, lads.
I mean, I spoke to you after the game, didn't I? And I think my comment was that he didn't look. It didn't look like he wasn't match fit. He just looked like he wasn't Premier League ready. And obviously it's the biggest league in the world, but it's so different to any other league that you're going to play in. I don't think there's any other world league that even compares to the Premier League. The speed, the tenacity, the ability for any team to beat any other team in our league. I don't think that goes that correlates with any other league in the world. So that's what I felt like. I felt he just wasn't Premier League ready. He's got the match fitness. I think he just needs time. And that's a great point that DJ Tone just raised there. But if you draw the comparisons even with Lodi from last season, there was a lot of them wrote him off after one game. And to be fair to us, and we should get some credit for it, we stuck with him and we said, no, the quality will shine through. And I believe the same with Montiel as well. I think it's a matter of patience and give him a few more games. But I felt he started well and he deteriorated. So there was signs for me that I can see some real ability in there.
Yeah.
I suppose the only...
talk about Sangare.
Can I just have a quick thing on Montiel? Last little bit.
Very quick.
The issue is when's he going to get a game? Because if Serge is fit, Serge has got to play. So, you know,
I think Cooper might look at Einar on the right and Tavares at the left potentially. But yeah, we'll discuss that in the Man City build-up. See what we think. We'll go there. Just moving on to Sangare then. From the ground perspective, and lead this one off as well. It's your section. What did you think of him?
Yeah, well, we were I don't know. I don't know what well, I do know what we're expecting. And maybe we're over expecting, if there's such a word. I would say he had an average game. There were times when he looked awesome in that midfield with his tackling and his covering and stuff. And then there were times when he looked a little bit lost. Again, first game, give the guy a chance. He's going to come good. He's going to come good. And he did tire as well, which, you know, I'm not surprised about. As mentions, Premier League's a different pace. It's a different beast. You know, you're getting closed down all the time. The players are quicker than they are on the continent. The play itself is quicker than it is on the continent. It's going to take him a little time. I think it'd be unreasonable to expect him to come in and light it up from his first game. I would give him a 6 out of 10 for that sort of performance, which is okay for a first game. And
exactly what I gave him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what's to come as he adapts to his teammates. He doesn't speak the language, which is a big problem. If anybody's played football, you know, or let me put it another way, if anybody's not played football, I don't think they realise how much communication goes on the pitch. In the crowd, you can't hear it, but they're talking to each other, shouting instructions to each other all the time. If you can't understand it, it makes it difficult. So, you know, we've got to give him a little time, but we know what he is. We know he's a quality player. He's going to come good. And for his first appearance, it was an okay performance.
Yeah.
You boys agree?
Yeah. I was going to let Dino jump in first, but I'll just say that I felt as a team, the first half an hour, maybe 35 minutes, we looked really good in terms of our shape, how we were moving. And I felt he was setting that because the whole team moved with him. So as high as he wanted to press, the rest of the team followed him. And it looked really positive. There were so many good signs in that first half hour or so. And I felt he led it. So what I'll get out of it is that we know we've got a player. Again, he's going to be one that will probably need a little bit more adjustment time, but certainly saw some positive signs. And when he did go for the ball and set the tempo really in a way, the rest of them followed him. So I see really, really good signs. Even if you don't have the communication now, if you play in a certain way, it's like we've said before. When you've got a derby game, if the first hard tackle that comes in, kind of sets. If first hard tackle that comes in, kind of sets the tone for the rest of the team, doesn't it? And when he does, he's one of those players, and he'll get the rest of them going. And I did see signs of that yesterday. Again, I agree with the guys. I think he tired and he dropped off a little bit, but yeah, definitely positive signs there for me.
Yeah. Chat, what would you rate him out of 10, chat? Just out of interest, what would you rate that Sangare performance? Get a 0 to 10 in the chat and go on, a little kind of.
He did some great things for me, and he did some really bad things for me. I mean, he was lucky not to get 2 yellows, I thought, with 2 fairly badly timed, reckless challenges. But yeah, I mean, I saw enough there to think, wow, this guy's going to run our midfield. What struck me with him through the good and the bad, that he seemed to be everywhere. He just seemed to be everywhere on the pitch. He's obviously got a stack full of energy, and he's a dominating character, isn't he? But yeah, I could see some yellow cards this season, let's put it like that. But yeah, I mean, he did some great break-up play as well. And his first 20, 30 minutes was really good, really good.
Yeah, it was.
A quick word as well. For a DM, it was nice to see how forward he got, if you understand what I'm saying. He didn't just sit in that DM. He was striding forward on a regular basis, which is great to see. And I can see him getting a goal or 2.
Yeah, that is his trait, absolutely. Mark's saying language barrier, a new league, best league in the world. He'll get better, in his opinion. Mark's brought up here, favourites FC will cost Cooper his job in the end. Middle of the defence was piss weak. We'll talk about the defence in just a second. And Mark again saying we had French-speaking players around Sangare. Montiel had no chance understanding Worrell and Sangare. That is true. And you know, boys, something I got shout out to Jason. He said it yesterday in the watch along. The reason Mangala started was because he was a French speaker, and they could communicate together. So to me, that was if that's the reason why. Kudos to Cooper for putting 2 plus
I
2
agree.
together on that one. And Fizzy saying Sangare and Mangala were brilliant in the midfield in the first 30. It really was a game of two halves that weren't equal. 30 minutes and what would it be, 60 minutes? You know what I mean? It was like, is that
Come
even
on,
right?
you're a maths genius, mate. Why did you say 3/3?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, there's
1/3.
any brackets around that, mate?
Yeah, any
a third
bid
would be
maths going on.
33 and a third minutes, mate. So that's why I didn't go to that. But you get what I'm saying? It
Bid
kind of
maths,
just
that
changed
bullshit,
on that
right?
30-minute mark. And it did for me revolve around that yellow card for Montiel. That's when he kind of became rabbit in the headlights for me. But I don't think it's anything too crazy to worry about. And we got back up. Go on, man.
I certainly think the yellow card Mangala got made a massive difference to his performance. I thought he was playing really well before he got that yellow card, and after that, you could see he wasn't putting the challenges in. He wasn't running, made a big difference.
Yeah. Okay. And then Dina, the final debutant was Hudson-Odoi, who I was quite surprised to see in the team sheet. He'd only had a game in the B team, didn't he, the week before? I can't remember who against, the Harrogate or something.
Harrogate, yeah.
Were you surprised to see him chuck straight in?
I was surprised to see a lot with Cooper's formation, but we'll come back onto that. But in terms of Hudson-Odoi, I mean, I was delighted for him. He's obviously got some kind of confidence problem. If you listen to Cooper's post-match, he said it 2 or 3 times, didn't he, about need to build his confidence, need to make his belief a little bit better. But I thought he had played really well. So lovely to see 2 inside forwards cutting in and joining Taiwo for a 3 up front when we're on the attack. The only downside is they were very narrow in defence and packed their box, didn't they? So that's why we didn't get a lot of joy, in my opinion. But yeah, he seemed to be confident. He took his goal from where I was sitting was just spectacular. You could just see it as soon as it's one of those that when they leave his foot, you just knew it was in. Spectacular goal. And I think he did well. I expected him to come off shattered, but he lasted quite a long time. So I was quite impressed with him. Really, really. Just behind Aina for me for man of the match.
And do you think we lost a little bit of the balance when he came off? Because we were playing down that left-hand side. And once Divock came on, it kind of became a bit narrower in terms of the play.
Yeah, I think that's... I mean, I know Divock Origi can play on the wing, but I've always thought of him more through the middle kind of guy. And I don't know whether he's more comfortable there or not, but he didn't hold the width like Hudson-Odoi did. But going back to Hudson-Odoi, for me, pretty much a dream debut. He had a lot of the ball, far more than Elanga did, for example. He had a lot of the ball, and he was always positive. That's what I love to see from a winger. He was always positive. He took his men on. I'm a little bit surprised to say that Cooper says his confidence needs building up, because he didn't look short of confidence to me. And that finish was not the finish of a player that's not confident, because that was a thing of absolute beauty. Now, I've not watched the whole match back, but I have watched that goal a few times, and I'm not getting any I'm not getting fed up with it.
It's obviously something he's seen in training or something behind the scenes, definitely, because he did over mention it. It was like he mentioned it 2 or 3 times. It just felt weird to me, because I agree with you. He just looked like he was chomping at the bit.
He never shied away from a dribble, did he? He never sort of turned his back and played an easy ball. He always went for it.
Yeah.
And like I say, you don't normally take shots like that if you're not confident. You know what I mean?
I felt he going back to that first. Sorry, going back to that first half an hour.
Ant,
finish your sentence. Go on,
Ant. Finish.
And I'm looking forward to seeing him play more, because I think we could. If we can get something like the Hudson-Odoi of 2 or 3 years ago, when Bayern Munich were bidding 60 million for him, we could have something special there. I understand what Cooper's saying about his confidence. Obviously, that guy's had a rough time for the last 2 or 3 years. He went back after his terrible injury. He went back to the madhouse at Chelsea. What are you going to do there? In and out, different positions. So maybe Cooper's right in that aspect. Maybe he does need an overall building of confidence, but it looks like it's already pretty much there. So if he can carry on like that, I think we could have a special player. I mean, obviously, he was expensive at 3 million. What do you expect?
Gunners.
No, I was going to say, I mean, I like the options now as well with our wingers, because we have genuinely got two interchangeable wingers. They'll both be comfortable on the opposite side. I think that is Hudson-Odoi's best side, cutting in from the left, because it gives him the ability to have a shot. But I also, going back to that first half an hour or so, I felt he set the tempo, because I think he had the first shot on target, didn't he? Which was tipped around the post. If we, Dina, you watched it back. I think he was the first shot, wasn't he? Yeah. So I felt like that's not a player suffering for confidence, is it? You know, first opportunity he has, he takes a strike. So I felt those comments were it didn't kind of correlate to what we were actually seeing. But I agree with you guys. I felt he looked confident. He wanted the ball. Again, that first 30 minutes, I felt they all interlinked really well. I liked the fact that Elanga was coming across the pitch as well to join in with the play. I like that fluidity. I don't want players that are fixed in the position. And we've got a fullback now in Aina who can work both sides comfortably. When we get Nico Williams back, that's another player that can work both sides comfortably. I like having those options, and I like how well I felt it worked in that first half an hour. Lots of positives, I think. Lots of positives we can take from that game. I
think going to the title of the stream, absolute bargain. Would we all agree at 3 million, as Matthew's saying here, money well spent?
Yeah.
The only thing I would add, I would have to say, just to give the counter argument, you know, if we're saying we can't write Montiel off after one game, we can't messy up Callum Hudson-Odoi either after one game. So I think a balanced approach is required even in the South.
I don't think any of us are writing Montiel off anyway.
It feels weird. Sorry?
I don't think any of us writing off Montiel anyway.
No. Yeah, no, what I'm saying is, because we're not writing off Montiel, nor can we lord up.
I agree on what you're saying. We can't build, but that's why I said if he continues like this, then we could have a bargain. But provided if he continues like this.
Let's rewind to last season. MGW on the left, Taiwo on the left. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Seeing a proper player that can play on the left with pace. Both wings have got now pace and dribbling. Both players aren't afraid to take a player on. And I might be a bit old school, but you know, me and Ant were brought up in the days of O'Neill and Robertson down here, the wings just taking players on. And that was the job. Get to the byline, pull the ball back. That was the job.
Yeah. Get it in the box. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get through some of the chat's comments. Some really interesting ones coming up. Cujo saying, great to see attacks down both flanks. I couldn't agree more, Cujo. It's one of the biggest pet peeves I've had. Even when we were in the championship, we were too right side dependent, and you've got to be more kind of 2-3 dimensional, if you like, on there. Craig saying, Odoi the boy, enjoyed watching him run at the defense. Again, another good trait I saw in him. He's happy to, it's not just a push and run like Jono. When he starts to attack forward, he was pushing their defensive line back, whereas Jono would get him behind and they'd be trying to catch him up. There's a different style there in what he does. Jack saying, I think Elanga is better on the left though. I don't agree. I agree with what Ez said. He wasn't my dream team on the left-hand side. A lot of the comments said, what are you doing? But he proved his worth yesterday. Eddie out in Spain saying there was a lot of promise there. I think we all agree with that. And Phil K with the 10 months. Thank you so much, Phil. And he's saying the future is indeed bright with him. And Cujo also saying Montiel was like Ez's old internet last night. Okay. So let's get a couple more comments in there. Fizzy saying, love the attacking football. I loved that first 30 minutes. I really did enjoy it. It was the best 30 minutes I've seen of us in the Premier League. Gunners.
Just one more point on Aina as well. That's why for me he was man of the match. Aina was, because he linked well with both of them. When he was playing as a left back, when he was playing as a right back, he linked well with Callum Hudson-Odoi and really well with Elanga in the second half. I really liked that partnership second half. So that's why he got my man of the match. Yeah, just how versatile he's been.
Another complete bargain.
Free.
Wow.
Better bargain. It makes Hudson-Odoi look expensive, doesn't it? Yeah. Let's get a couple more comments and we're going to move on to the formation stuff. Nikki's saying, look good for 30 minutes, then reverted back to low block. I think we had to drop the defensive line a little because of the pace of the two centre-backs, but we'll come on to that in the formation in just a second. Let's get a couple more comments. Harvey's saying he'd like to see Dominguez in the team. I'm sure he'll get a chance at some point. Charlie Odie said, I thought McKenna was gonna smack Worrell at one stage. He was pissed. I like that.
Mm.
Do you mean pissed as in angry or pissed as in
Angry,
he'd
yeah.
had a
Yeah,
few
As in
beverages?
Scottish.
And Simon's saying, imagine that lineup when
Great class.
MGW starts playing properly. If we have time, I want to go in and talk about MGW as well.
Yeah.
Nicky's saying, with our players against that team, we should have at least 60% possession. That's a nice little segue into the second part of the show.
Sorry. Can I just mention? I've got to mention something that's coming to mind.
What?
Sangare mustn't do that in the penalty box ever again.
Mm.
Yeah.
That was
You know.
truly shocking.
I don't know what he was trying to do. It was weird. Should have just whacked it out of play.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, mate.
Let's move on. After that segue was interrupted there. We've lost the smooth transition, but whatever.
So
it is what it is.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's a good point. Let's talk about the formation. So, to my shock and surprise, Dino, we went to a 4-back. To my even greater shock and surprise, it was a 4-2-3-1. But there was a lot of debate after the game. Everyone's a manager with hindsight. Was it the right call to go 4-2-3-1? Chat, what do you think? Would you have preferred to see a low block game yesterday, or were you open to this 4-2-3-1? Dino, kick us off on this one.
Well, I'll start off by saying at the weekend, I said, if you're open for a 4-2-3-1 chat, you've got a long time waiting. I can remember that. I said he's bought so many defenders.
Yeah, we clipped it.
Now, Bolly was sick, wasn't he? So Bolly wasn't available, and I don't know why Niakarte's still on the bench, but that's another chat. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw a 4-2-3-1. Is it my preferred formation? No, I prefer a 4-3-3. I think we're a bit more solid in midfield with a 4-3-3, and it means that one or two players out that midfield can join the attack, like we saw Disallowed do last year. But listen, I ain't complaining. You know, Cooper went up in my estimation yesterday, and I've got a little bit more respect for him than I previously had, because we played at home against a team we should have beat, and we played attacking football. I don't agree with the low block that was put earlier in the chat. I think that was just defending. I don't think that was necessarily sitting back. I think they pushed us back. Like I said before, it was great to see wingers overlapping fullbacks. I don't think the back two and the middle two were under that much pressure for a lot of the game. A lot of their attacks seemed to go down that wing on the left side. It was just a joy to see, you know, and yes, I'm disappointed that we didn't win, but I'm not gutted. I'm not gutted. You know, I'm really happy with that. Really happy, because if we'd have got a draw with low blocking and a 5 flat back, I'd have been pissed. But we went out swinging, just a bit better final ball, I think, a bit more composure up top. And like I said before, you know, they crammed the box. They literally defended like that. And it made it very difficult to break them down. They defended well, to be fair. To give it to them, they defended well. So, no, I was happy, and I think it worked. Would I like to see it against Man City? No. I think we'll get destroyed. But would I like a 4-3-3 against Man City? I would, because I think we've got good wingers. But I think he'll play the Chelsea style against Man City, won't he? Low block. Get him on the attack.
And on the formation, I mean, everything pleased me. Everything, apart from two names.
What's Brandon on about?
Yeah.
Two names.
Warren McKenna.
I don't know how you guys reacted to it at the grounds, but was it the same thing?
Pretty much the same thing. Everybody's saying, "Oh, wow, I can't believe it. Oh, shit, why has he got more Warren McKenna in the back, though?" Niakarte's fit. He was out with a dislocated elbow. That doesn't affect your fitness in that respect. And he did play last week. You know, he came on last week. So why would you play why would you play McKenna and not Niakarte? I'd love to sit down with Steve Cooper and say, do you think that that McKenna is a better defender than Niakarte? And if he says no, I would say, well, why are you playing McKenna then? What is it? I don't understand it from a purely football point of view. I don't understand why any manager would pick McKenna over Niakarte. That being said, I agree with Dino. I would favour a 4-3-3. I did think that if a team's coming with a packed midfield, you're going to struggle with two midfielders in that respect. You're relying on MGW to come back and defend, and that's not really his thing, to be fair. So yeah, I would go with the 4-3-3, but I was absolutely delighted with that formation. It was like a breath of fresh air. Everybody got a lift because we were all fearing the worst. And I agree with Dino again. Obviously, next week against Man City, 11 behind the ball. So yeah.
So the question is, did it work? It didn't because we didn't get the win, but it did in the sense that we got to see what's possible. I 100% agree, and I think the same comments were around the stage, certainly around the guys we met at the fan zone, and shout out to everyone who came and said hello. I've gone again on it started again. Anyway, all the guys, shout out to all the guys who came and said hello. It was fantastic. Ant will tell you the story later. But once I saw Worrell and McKenna, do you know what my comment was? We're against a championship team and he's playing a championship's centre back pairing. That's what it felt like for me.
Yep.
I think it's a last chance. It was a last chance saloon for them. Maybe Cooper's. I think I haven't fully listened back to Cooper's post match, but a couple of people were saying that he was quite critical of the defenders yesterday and the defensive mistakes. So maybe he will see that and see, look, it's not working. I've given you guys a chance. I'm not happy to carry on with you to Worrell and McKenna as my centre back pair. That makes sense. When you got Nia Cartier on the bench, the problem is we haven't got the backup. The bench didn't have the backup. There was only Nia Cartier as a centre back partner for anyone anyway out of the back. So yeah, that didn't work. That was the only thing I'd change. But that's why I felt it didn't work. I think we needed more attacking central defenders or central defenders that could pass the ball a little bit better than we saw last night.
I don't think those two did bad, and I think the reason that Cooper probably played them was because they played so well against Chelsea together.
Is that right, though, Dino?
No, I would always play my best side in terms of the most talented players, but I'm just thinking that if Bolly wasn't sick, I think Bolly would have probably replaced McKenna, to be honest. And I think because
why not Nia Cartier then?
I haven't a clue. Nia Cartier is obviously one of our prime defenders, if not our best defender. He's got the long throw, he's got the pace, he's got the stature, the build, and the height. Every time I see Nia Cartier play, it's like watching a Rolls Royce. If I was the manager, Nia Cartier would play every week. But it's 3 times, I think, now he's sat him on the bench, isn't it? Is it 3?
Yeah, he came on once, didn't he?
So I'm not sure something's going off there. I mean, we know stories of, fallouts behind the scenes with people like Lewis O'Brien, people like that, Dennis, and they kind of don't get a look in. And I'm just wondering if something's happened behind the scene or...
If he's falling out with Nia Cartier,
I don't know. I don't understand it.
If he's falling out with Nia Cartier,
they're our weakest two, in my opinion.
Go on, Ant.
I'm just saying, if he's falling out with Nia Cartier, Cooper can fuck off. I'm not having that.
Wow.
Yeah, he can't keep falling out with players. I mean, Look at Ten Hag. He's literally falling out with everyone. But he's still got a job to do, and the players have still got a job to do on the pitch. So whether they don't agree with Steve Cooper or not, I'm really wildly speculating here, but I don't understand why he's not playing. But I'm not going to knock the guys that did play. I thought they did a reasonable job.
Can I just ask, you both mentioned... No, I was going to say, guys both mentioned 4-3-3. In hindsight, would you have gone 4-3-3 yesterday? And if so, who would you have dropped? Or is it a matter of just a sense?
Can I take that one, Ant? So
yeah, sure.
I think, and I love MGW, but I think MGW is a problem for Cooper because he was the star signing last season. I think he feels as though he's got to play him. He played him literally throughout entire last season. He didn't give him much break from his... under 21's trip, didn't he? And I just think that he feels as though he's got to play him. Now, we've got 2 proper wingers now. So last season, he was either playing as a number 10 infrequently because we didn't play the number 10 role much, or he was playing out on the left as a winger. He's not a winger, is he? He's not got speed and he doesn't dribble and take players on much, and doesn't get to the byline and cross the ball. So now we've got these wingers in place. The only one position he can fit, because he's not a midfielder, in my opinion, is the 10 spot. So he's kind of forced to play. If he wants to play MGW, and we have no backup for MGW, by the way, in that position, because Scarpa's gone now.
We did. I was just going to say.
We did, yeah. then if he's injured, then I could see us moving away from the 4-2-3-1 and playing a 4-3-3 anyway. I think he would if MGW wasn't there. I think he'd play a 4-3-3. I think he's fitting MGW in.
You can fit him into a 4-3-3 if you play him in. Sorry, guys, if you play him in the Odegaard position, then that works. That's a 4-3-3.
It is, but Odegaard's a kind of he's right next to Saka, isn't he? And he's a kind of right-hand side midfielder. So you'd have Sangare in the middle and him on the right. Yeah, and go and shuttling up and down. Yeah, it could work, but and he does get back. To be fair, he does chase back. There's lots of times. And I had some bad things about him yesterday, but I thought he had a reasonable game again. He wasn't spectacular, but I thought he had a decent game.
I disagree. I think I don't
think he's doing enough positive things to negate the flicks and tricks and the losses of the ball, the bad passes, etc.
Yeah,
he doesn't look up much. He's not got much awareness on the ball, in my opinion. He kind of gets a bit tunnel vision around his feet, and and I think Alanga's the same for me. He doesn't look up much. So as a creative midfielder, you've got to have. You did a video last year, didn't you, on Scarpa when he was looking around before he got the ball, and I don't see MGW doing a lot of that. He tries to get the ball, beats the immediate player, and then he looks for a pass.
Do you know what? I just thought I've always said that the best midfielders in the world are the ones that always look like they've got time and space. MGW never looks like he's got time and space. It's just said he
always looks like he's rushing.
He's panicking and looking and trying to flick it and stuff.
Yeah.
With something like Scarpa, he'd get the ball and he'd know before he got the ball. He'd be aware, and that's just occurred to me. And that's a slight concern, isn't it?
It says, but that's the coach's job, to get that out of him. If he just slowed it down a bit and just made a bit more space for himself.
That's what I'm saying.
And you don't always have to take players on. And he did one little back heel, didn't he, out of play yesterday? Other than that, I think he's getting that out of his game. Look, sometimes just been doing things a bit simpler.
I think I'm going to do a video on him tomorrow. But I'll just give a little teaser here. For me, I don't think it was his worst game yesterday. But I am now getting frustrated with him. I am. If you want to break it down to, the brass taxes, 0 goals, 0 assists. His line before the start of the season was, I'm going to be scoring more goals. I've been practicing my shooting. His shooting is fucking dreadful. It is shockingly bad. It's worse than his corners. And if the shot in the second half, it would have been better for him to pass it straight into Chris Wood, who was onside and in front of him, because his shot was so woeful. And that's the frustration for me. My biggest issue with MG Dub right now, and I'm saying this with love because he's still one of my favorite players, is I think he's come back from this summer break having won, what was it, the Euros, the World Cup, whatever it was, with the England team. Thinking he is now, not Messi, but he reminds me a lot of Rashford right now in terms of temperament. Everything needs to go through him. Everything needs to be about him at the moment. And I think if he would simplify his game, we would see 50% of improvement in his play, for me personally. And I'm not saying this as a harshness or I hate him because I love him. But I want the best out of him. He has the potential to be one of the best players in the Premier League, in my opinion. But right now, I think his ego is getting the better of him. Sorry, Ant, go on.
No, mate, I was just going to say, all of us, of course, want the best for him. He's our player. We want him to be fantastic. And we know he's got a lot of talent. So there's no hate in this. It's only for the benefit of him and our team that I honestly believe at the moment he needs taken out for a few games. He needs taken out.
There's only hate in this. And you know what I'm talking about, you lurkers in the background, the haters on social media, but still watches every stream. There's only hate in it if you twist and turn and then get your little keyboard app. That's the only hate that's in it. We love the club, we love the players, and we'll support them.
Yeah.
So there you go. Just I must say.
Yeah. But I'll go back and sure. No. Go for your spanner in, and I'll respond to it.
Okay, my spanner is
how
this.
can we talk about MGW? I think this was supposed to be separate
formations. Yeah, well, us and agendas.
It's kind of key to it, though, isn't it?
It is key to it because it is about the formation. Let me ask you this, right? Is part of the problem that Cooper will not drop him or sub him? Does he see himself as a free pass in that team and almost a guaranteed starting spot? And chat, what do you think about that? Go on, Ness.
No, I was going to say in the formations that he's being played in, he does see himself as a starter, and but the only way I think you drop him or rest him is playing a 4-3-3 because he doesn't fit into a 4-3-3 with the players that I think we've got available. There's better players. I'm not going to shoehorn MG Dub into a 4-3-3 formation, and that is probably the only way he gets out of a team at the moment. But every other formation kind of sees him as a central role or gives him a central figure in that role. I just don't think that Cooper's got the bravery right now to drop him. I do think he needs a little bit of a time out of it because nobody should be taking their place for granted. It happened to Jono last season, and it wasn't just a precursor to him being sold. It was because he didn't suit the best formation that we were playing at the time. So similar thought has to be taken into making this decision. And I see a 4-3-3 is a great formation that I'd like to see us play. I think it gives us a better balance again in more games and it also gives you ability to change it up within game. He's not the one. He's the one that misses out when you do that. So Cooper's got a choice to make. If he's putting all his eggs in one basket with MGW being his star man, then what message does that send out to all the other guys who've just come in? What do they have to show? Go on.
just for all you wondering, let me referring a comment on one of the videos today that absolutely had the whole FFTV team in stitches. Apparently, we picked the team and the formation yesterday.
And evidently, because I threatened Cooper. Evidently, somebody said in one of the comments.
And threatened Cooper if he didn't go into that, and Cooper cracked under the pressure of bully ants as well. If you haven't read that comment, go read it. It's absolutely hilarious.
Some shit in there. Oh my god, it's so funny.
I've just put a quick poll in the chat. Would you drop MGW? And I'm a little surprised by the results. 67% are saying yes, 33% are saying no. What's more surprising is the number of likes we have. We're only at 71 with over 270 of you in here. Please do take a quick second, hit that like button. Quick reminder.
Go on.
Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And Dino, you wanted to jump back in, mate?
I mean, he's got in the number 10 role, he's got no competition. So when we play with a number 10 role, he plays for me, but we don't always have to play with a number 10 role. We can play a 4-3-3, but we shouldn't have to shoehorn him into a 4-3-3. I'm sorry. There's better players in their own positions than MGW is temporarily going into their positions. He's a specialist number 10 for me.
I think that's a fair point.
Very few clubs play with a number 10 these days. Very few clubs.
Yeah.
I still like the number 10. I really do, but let's get into some of the chat comments.
It's a fantasy position, isn't it? It's like, where all the big players have played in the past, and it had a magical ring to it, the number 10. But if it's not suitable, it's a system game these days. All teams play with a system, and number 10 often doesn't fit into that system.
I mean, Ant's right about Odegaard that he said earlier. He's kind of an offset number 10, isn't he?
Yeah.
If you see his heat map, he's literally right next to Saka on that right-hand side all the time. And look how much stuff comes down there. It's crazy.
I still like a number 10. Let's get a couple of the super chats in. Sharky, the absolute legend. Regardless of the result, it was nice to see progress. I would definitely agree with that. And on top of that, now 13 months. Mr. Sharpie, how's that gone so fast? Thank you so much. It was a good match, he says. Some of the other comments, Brandon saying MG Dub with a bigger head than his banana toe. Red Dog says, I always give MGW stick. Thought it was his best game for us last night this season. I agree that it was a better game from him, but still the end product for me wasn't there, and it's now starting to get frustrating.
Jeez, that must be a low ball then.
Yeah. Simon saying Danilo will have to fit back into the team at some point, maybe at the expense of MG Dub. I do not see Cooper dropping MG Dub. I think it's like Ten Hag and Rashford. That's what I would liken it to. I can't see it. There's a few of you saying drop MG Dub and bring Santos in as the third midfielder. Sorry, I just can't find those comments now. And Jack with the 5 months. Thank you so much, Jackie boy. Hope you're well. Appreciate it. Big Mart saying maybe MG Dub should borrow my size 14 boots as he's got too big for his own. Very clever. Very clever on that. Davis saying who will take the corners and free kick
Anybody.
if MGW is dropped. I'd give it to Dino. Get Dino on the like literally anybody. Yeah, I mean, just very quickly on that, he's got more height on his corners, but for me now they're just too loopy and they're going past everyone. It's either hit the first man or over loop.
So me and Owen got really excited at the ground last night because Montiel went to take a throw in and he went right back and he was pushing it. He was going like that, pushing everybody back. Bad. And he was trying the ball under his thing and he was like trying his hands. And we were all going, where we were sitting, we were going, oh, he's got a long throw. He's got a long throw. And then he did a big run up and he went blip and it nearly made the 6-yard box. And we were like, everybody around us went, oh, that really disappointed.
It went higher than it did long, that one. I know the one you're talking about. He got so much height on it. Yeah, exactly.
Because he kept pushing people back and they were just moving back and back and back.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we digressed a little, but back onto the formation stuff. Ez, would you be happy for this to continue, maybe at the cost of a couple of results and just start to bed this in? Or do you think we should revert back to a back 3 or 5?
Do you mean against a Man City? In the next game,
I'm not talking specific Man City. I'm talking just in the project, if you like.
In project wise, no, it's definitely one. We've got Brentford up next at home. It's a formation I'd like to see against Brentford, but maybe adapt to maybe have that 4-3-3 because I like the look of that. That I think Dino mentioned it already. That could work even against Man City if you play it right, but you got to have the right centre backs for that to work. But yeah, no, you don't give up on the 4-2-3-1 for me. No, definitely not, because that is the formation where you can get the best out of MG Dub for me. And he's still a top player. We're being constructive in our criticism. I hope that's how it comes across. There's no haters here, that's for sure. Not on the panel. It might be in the lurkers in the chat, as we already mentioned. But yeah, you don't drop the 4-2-3-1. That's not an experiment. That was something that we wanted to see. And I think Cooper's alluded to it. That's why we make the comments. Cooper said it himself. This is not the way I want to play. This is how I want to play. So 4-2-3-1 gives him the option with the players that he's got and also would be the best opportunity to get MG Dub firing on all cylinders. But I would like to see it switched up on a weekend and have horses for courses. He's got more than enough options now.
And one of my fears was that we walked away from that game not winning, obviously, but then Cooper looks at it and kind of says, all right, well, we tried it your way because apparently we're the ones who got the formation in there. Is there a risk of that happening where he says, all right, well, I tried the 4-2-3-1 or the 4 back. It didn't work. We didn't win. Time to go back and stick to my low block tactics.
Well, just before I address that, I'd like to address Sid Vicious in the comments. I loved you, man, before you died, but I think you should stay dead because that's not a very good take, my friend.
He's a bit trolly.
My God, he'd have to be a very weak man to try something once and then give up. Unless, as you say, he was just doing it, out of bloody mindness. And all right, then I'll try it, but I don't believe that for a second. I'm hoping that he sticks with it. Obviously, not next week. I'm not too bothered what we play against Man City because God help us. But I'd go with. I mean, myself, I prefer the 4-3-3. I think it's a little bit more secure, and I think we've got a lot of players in that midfield who can do a good job in that situation. And I don't believe he'll go back to a back 5 in games against the likes of Burnley, etc. at home. I think he'll play. Well, I'm hoping he'll play back 5 when needed. I mean, at the end of the day, we've not done too bad this season with a back 5. But we let 2 in against Arsenal. We let 3 in against Manchester United. So it's not that secure, is it? Do you know what I mean?
No, but we've not been. We've only been losing by the odd goal. Do you know what I mean? It's been there's been no real stretch away, has there?
But is that because we've improved going forward?
So yeah, no, definitely. But to improve going forward. I mean, I analysed the Chelsea game for the high press, and it seemed low block when I first watched it, but when I watched it back for the analysis, we were pushing from the midfield a bit more. No, so five back, I'm not criticising you, Ant. 5 back doesn't mean a low block always.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I know you don't.
Not at all. I agree 100% on that. 5 back can be very positive if you've got wing backs bombing forward, it can be very positive. You can leave 3 at the back and the rest of your team can push forward. So I agree 100%. 5 at the back doesn't mean low block, but let's be honest, we do play low block most of the time. That game against Chelsea, I did actually, sorry, Dino, I did actually point out, I said, well, actually, when they were taking a goal kick, our strikers were actually pushing up, which we'd not seen before. So I agree with you on that. It wasn't a particularly low block against Chelsea. They've obviously just got a lot of technical players and can't score. So, I've got nothing against 5 at the back if it's played not as a low block against poor sides. I think that's what we've all been concerned at, that we're playing that low block formation against poor sides when we don't need to. So I'm hoping that he does continue with what we're doing.
And it's a question for you three. What have we got to lose with a 4-3-3 at Man City rather than a 5 flat back? I mean, what have we got to lose? We're expected to lose anyway. This is the world's best domestic football team at the minute. So
it is.
Is it not worth just 4-3-3 with a lower block?
That was going to be my point. Yeah, that was going to be my point. One of the big differences from, remember last season, there was a point where we were literally a point worse off than everybody else because of our goal difference. It was almost very costly for us. The positive that I've seen so far, and it does balance it out, because Dino's saying, I think Ant actually said, are we better going forward? I think we are better going forward, and we are still conceding the goals, even with a back 3, back 5, whatever you want to call it. But I don't think the game against Man City at the Etihad is the time to be experimenting with a 4-3-3.
Unless we go a goal behind, unless he plays it, and then we go a goal behind, and we doesn't lose anyway, other than goal difference.
I
but
don't.
We were much worse off last season at this point. Much worse off.
Yeah, I don't agree that just because you go to a back 4 instead of a back 5, you're going to concede 6. He could, for me, he could very easily. I would put it this way: I would prefer if we went a 4-3-3 against Man City and had Felipe and Niakate at the back, rather than a back 5 with Worrell, McKenna, +1, whoever that is.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to make a 4-3-3 does not have to be attacking. It can be a defensive 4-3-3. So for me, you could brick it up. You could go Sangare, Santos, and I don't know, Dominguez as your midfield 3. You're not looking for any flair. And then you leave Hudson-Odoi, you leave Elanga on the wing, and Awani up front for the counter attack. You're not. You take out the flair of Morgan Gibbs-White, not because we've just talked about it, but I'm just saying if you wanted to make it defensive, and you end up with a defensive 4-3-3, that to me is more solid than a 5-2-1-2, because you've got more bodies in the midfield.
We got better quality as well.
3 at the back, you're inviting the pressure because you're giving up an extra body in midfield. But if you're putting a defensively minded person in there, like a Santos, to me, it would make more sense. And I don't think that team would get tonked 6-0.
Can we have a poll?
No, because you can even go 2 banks of 4, can't you? If you've got 2 banks of 4, that's hard to break down. Really hard to break down. Plenty of teams playing back 4 have got excellent defenses. You don't have to. Doesn't mean you're open and porous because you've got 4 at the back. If you've got 4 in midfield, 3 or 4 in midfield as well, 2 banks of 4, it's bloody hard to break down.
But the key to what Wolverine said just there was having Niakate and Felipe in those central positions. I wouldn't do it with McKenna and Worrell again.
No.
I said this a couple of weeks ago. I said I'd only see Worrell back in a back 3. I wouldn't put him in a 2. Ant alluded to how well McKenna and Worrell played last week, but they played it in a back 3. In a 2, it's just there's too much pressure on them. There's a couple of things that Worrell did yesterday, and I pointed out to Ant really early on. He kept rushing to get to the ball. He was leaving himself so exposed at times because he hasn't got the pace to recover. It's like he was trying to do too much, and I think that showed in the goal we conceded as well. He was out of position. Montiel was obviously Montiel's error to begin with, but Worrell made it worse for himself. When he's playing in a 2, it seems like he wants to do everything, and we know he's not. He hasn't got the pace to be able to cover that much ground. So that's something I noticed very early on yesterday. He was trying to rush out to their striker, trying to get to the ball before him. It only takes a half smart attacking play just to flick the ball around him, and he's done. He's done for, and you massively exposed. So I don't like him in a 2. If you're going to play Worrell in any game, it's in a back 3. But key to what Wolverine said about that formation just then is having Felipe and Niakate back as a centre pairing.
You know what's worrying about some of Joe's play? Like last night, as we know, for the goal, I'm not blaming him for the goal. He's just not got the pace. But he shouldn't have been running with that player. He should have been cutting off the angle and facing him up, because he's not going to ever catch him. And that, I'm afraid, is coaching.
You're talking about
You can coach a player to be in the right position. You can't coach a player to have pace.
Are you talking about the goal, the left winger that cut in past Montiel? He
Yeah.
was on his own. He had to go across. Montiel lost his man.
Yeah, no, but he didn't need to run alongside him. He could have cut down the angle and faced him up.
He could have done. He should have done. Yeah, he did try and he went past him, didn't he, and got the ball through. So, yeah, I mean that was a bit schoolboy error. To be fair, he could have just stood in front of him and stopped him going around.
Yeah, I mean, as much as you can praise him last week, it's coaching. But as much as we praised him last week, when he's in a 2, he can't do that. He can't have. I thought he was really disciplined last week against Chelsea, and he was a standout defender, and he led that back free. But like we said throughout the season, Bolly is getting overlooked in these conversations sometimes, but he's been our most solid defender from pre-season into the season. Worrell, for me, does not work in a back 2, should not be put in that position, and certainly should not be put in that position with McKenna as his partner, because he tries to do too much and he hasn't got the pace to be made. He made that decision easy for that striker because of the way he rushed out. It was very easy for him to just sidestep him, and he knows then if Worrell does anything else, he's bringing him down, he's getting a penalty. So Worrell made his decision very easy, and that was another schoolboy error, as you just mentioned. That's cost us a goal. So
do we think that I honestly believe that if Bolly hadn't been ill last night, from what Cooper was saying about Bolly, how he's been, our best defender this season, do we think we would have stuck with a 3 last night if Bolly had been fit?
That's a cracking question.
Yeah.
Cracking question. Chat, yes or no? Leave it for the chat. I think we would have seen the 3. I'll be honest with you. I think we would have seen the 3.
Trying to do as well. Because the way he was talking about Bolly, he was no way going to leave him out through choice. And if you're bringing Bolly in, it's going to be a 3, isn't it?
Eddie, we appreciate the effort, Eddie. Thank you so much. People are saying no. They're saying no. Most of the chat is saying no. I think I keep pressing it, but all the answers are coming in. The general consensus seems to be no. I just don't think, as Ant said, Bolly would have been dropped on that one. Okay, I want to ask you guys a question. I get your opinion on it. Excuse me, my voice is going again. MGW shot, was it a handball or not?
I can't even remember it.
I can't remember it.
All right, let me bring it up for you guys.
Bring it up.
Hold on. Wait 1 sec. Sorry. Look. Hey, chat, we'll do a poll on this one. I'm just curious. I think it's worth having the discussion. And why can't I bloody see it now? Hold on. There we go. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Chat, we'll get a poll on this one.
Arms are behind him. The ball's past him. He's not moved his arm. For me, no. But in modern day football, you've seen them given. But for me, absolutely not.
For me, no.
I hate it when they're given as penalties, because he didn't mean to do that.
What about theirs then?
Really?
Oh, wait, let's just finish on this one. I put the poll up. Was it a handball in the pen? Chat, get your votes in.
I'm watching it back. That's the first time I've watched that back. Did they review that one? Because I know there was a couple that was reviewed. Was that one of the ones that was reviewed, or did they not even bother? Because how are you not reviewing that? His arms are out. If you're going back, listen, I agree with you guys. If you shouldn't happen, but we know it does happen. His arms were out there, weren't? I mean, I haven't got Lemmy's pterodactyl arms, but yeah, but his arms are out, mate. His arms are away from his body. It blocked the ball, a shot on target. It was a shot on target. It's blocked. Yeah, but we know we're not allowed to do that. How's he got away?
No, sorry, Ed. I'm saying in modern day football, that wouldn't have surprised me. But my own personal view is I don't like them given, because the player's not deliberately trying to stop it, in my opinion. But I agree with you.
I'm surprised that, in modern day football. So I'm surprised that wasn't reviewed and given. because it's a shot on target.
There's two things that need looking at in football in terms of refereeing and taking back to basics again. One is the offside rule, the other is handball. It's just so complex now. It's ridiculous. I mean, I think the only reason we got away with their handball being overturned, their goal being overturned, is because the way he kind of lent in to control it. But that was
Guys,
close.
I agree with
I've seen those not given as well,
I agree with everything you guys are saying, but I'm saying as the modern day football is and how the penalty or handball rule is, how the hell is that not reviewed and given as a penalty? I'm not agreeing that it should be, but I'm saying we know what the rules are nowadays. How the hell was that not given?
Let's look at it again. Let's look at it again, chat. Please vote if you haven't already. I'm really curious to see what you guys think about this. Let's have a look at it again. I'll pause it on the actual part.
And look at the referee's positioning as well. Could he be in any better position?
I mean, look at it. Stop, leave it there. Look at the player behind him, with his arms behind his back.
I don't know.
Exactly. He should have had his arms behind his back.
And I remember Einar putting his arms behind his back as well, I think, for the goal.
Oh,
because
I can't get the
playing
frame right.
Put their arms around the back.
There. Is that a penalty, chat?
Well, I agree with that. It's stopping the path of the ball to the goal, and I also agree that it's a natural position to actually be in, but this is why the rules are just so stupid. I think there should be very clear rules on if your hands start, because you can put your hands behind your back. You see most Premier League players do that now.
This is a good angle. It was.
It is. Buddy, who's brought Mark's comment up? I can't.
Sorry.
Get it off.
Sorry.
Not me. I've not bought any up.
Get it off.
Sorry,
I can't press it.
I am.
Hold on. Let's get this angle here. There.
Look, his arms away from his body.
Yeah, but his arms behind his back.
The ref's got to say that he's too close there to have done anything about it anyway.
Yeah,
this is why
it's under his armpit. For those of you wondering where the ball is, there it's kind of hit the bottom part of his forearm.
Caught it. He's running off with it like that under his arm. It's like I'm taking the ball home.
But the player behind him's got his arms tucked in. So why didn't he have his arms tucked in? If his arms are tucked in, then it hits him.
That's not a natural position.
No, I know it's not a natural position. No, we know it's not. But that's not the point, is it? I'm agreeing with everything you guys are saying on that. That's not the issue. The issue is the way the rules are now. How the hell was that not given?
You know what?
It's not the first time this season. It's not the first time this season when it comes to a handball.
You know what we need is we need to hear what the VAR is saying, because then we'd know why they've not given it. So if they say, "Oh yes, it is his arm's not in a natural position, but proximity is too close," then you think, "Okay, at least we know." If they're saying, "Yeah, proximity is not too close, but we think his arm's in," at least we know why they've not given it.
Yeah.
And then
is this the same ref? Is this Stuart dudes? And was this the Stuart dude from the Man U game?
No, it's not. I thought it was. It wasn't. It wasn't Stuart Atwell.
So it wasn't the same ref.
The guy in VAR?
No, the guy on the pitch.
From the Man U game. Yeah.
Oh, right. He was in the VAR. I know his name was mentioned for this game, but he certainly wasn't the one on the pitch.
Okay, so and are you saying penalty, yes or no? And are you saying penalty, yes or no? Yeah.
With the new rules, with the rules as the way they are.
I'm saying I've seen them given.
So
I wouldn't have been surprised if I'd been reviewed and given.
Robert Jones was the referee.
My own personal taste is I don't like all this handball. Every time a player gets hit with a ball in the box, it's handball. It drives me mad.
But penalty, yes or no?
I'm fence sitting.
Yes, with the rules the way they are, yes, it is a penalty, and it's not the first time we've been denied even a review.
Definitely, I totally agree. It was very close. It was very close to him, the shot. He couldn't do anything. But I've seen him given. But I just think the rules are so stupid at the minute. There's so many different elements. It's like you got to it's like algebra when a referee has to decide and the people in the VAR. No wonder there's VAR, because the decisions have got so complex. I just think it should be black and white. It's like the offside rule. Is his nose off? Is his elbow off? And it's his feet, isn't it? Surely.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah.
And that's it. If your foot's offside, it
think
don't
It
matter
can
how
never
much
be black and white, though, can it? Subjective decisions like that can never be black and white because it's did he intend to do it?
it causes grief.
Were his arms
every
in a
week.
natural position? Was
Yeah.
he too close? You know, there are judgments to be made. So it's not black and white. So it can never be black and white. It's
I
always
love
going
this.
to be.
This sums it up for me. I should have said it like this. There you go.
Yeah.
Stuff
Perfect.
it's
Perfect.
yeah, okay. But what's
Now,
interesting,
tell you what,
what's
tell you what, just last
interesting
thing
is
on
the
that,
chat
Wolfie, last
full.
thing on that. If that had been in the Man U box, would it have been a penalty for Man U?
Oh, it
At
wouldn't
Old
have even
Trafford?
needed VAR. It wouldn't needed VAR.
Don't ask Dino that. Don't even ask Dino that. Dino will argue that no.
Like the second
Let's bring the
season
chat. Let's bring the
syndrome.
chat into this. Let's bring the chat into this. Right. We put the poll out. Yes, 50% say it was a penalty. No, 50% say it
There you
wasn't a
go.
penalty. And remember, I'd like to imagine most of this chat have got red tinted glasses on. So either they're very, very objective in their thinking, or it was very, very split.
But just a point on that, the referees will probably be the same split if you got 100 referees together.
Yeah,
Fair
exactly.
point. Fair point.
And that's the problem.
Yeah. Okay. I thought that was interesting to see.
Yeah.
I'll feed chat. Vote on it. I'm going to feed your poll back to the club. Right. So I'll leave it open 2 more minutes. Get your votes in if you think it was a pen or not. There's 300 odd of you in here. Get your votes in if you want to say in there, and we'll feed it back in. Okay. Want to wrap up with the final thing to. Sorry, we got some super chats. Oh my god. We got Jax. Thank you so much for 5 months. And Crypto with the £2. Var says Ez needs a haircut. Hashtag
guys, just I would need 100 times. I've got Mika Richards as a hairdresser, so it's about 100 times that amount. So yeah, keep fighting in a minute. I do need it.
Okay, let's move on to the final section. Is it still early days, Esmondo?
Yes. And that's a blanket
Thanks
statement.
for watching,
but
guys. There's more. Sorry.
And good night. If we're talking about the formation for a start, I liked the look of it. I liked how we started off that game. I just felt, some tired legs, and there were some mistakes that kind of changed how our players carried on. We got a couple of early bookings which didn't help, but yes, it's early days. It's early days for the players that have just started, certainly for the ones who made their debuts last night. We've seen I saw some real positives in the game. I saw some positive link-up play. Again, going back, especially in that first half an hour, 35 minutes. It's early days in the sense that we've just said we can't give up on that, trying that formation again. You certainly got to use it in another game. And I would say hopefully, potentially in a home game against Brentford. But there's other players still to come in. And what I think, the parallel I'm going to obviously draw is with last season. We bought a lot more players in one go, and it took a hell of a long time for them to settle. But look at the position we're in the table right now. Look at his position our position in the table right now. We're 8th, aren't we? 7th or 8th?
Correct.
7th of 8. 7 points so far this season. And, that's probably just a point ahead of where we thought we would be at this stage this season. I think we all agreed we probably win the 2 home games. So we're doing better than we were. Goal difference is 0, which is as good as it was ever at any stage last season. And there's a lot of positive signs for me. So it's still early days. What we can't be having is knee-jerk reactions after that, not getting the win yesterday, because I didn't actually feel disappointed yesterday in the sense that I was pissed off about the result yesterday. I obviously would have liked the win, but I wasn't upset coming out of that stadium last night. I don't know what you guys felt, but early days, because I could see a lot of promise in that first half. So yeah, guys, tell me what you think.
A lot of promise, a lot of exciting players to come in. Formation change, obviously, that's not a flash in the pan. He's definitely going to go to a 4-back in the future, and I think he'll swap between a 5 and a 4. I've got no problem with that. I'm much more enthused and excited than I was last season, all of last season. I thought we struggled. I thought we had a mismatch of players. I think our recruitment's been good this year. You know, it's been a bit more targeted towards the positions we need rather than just let's sign any name we can get, which is what it felt to me last year. And on last night's game, I just want to give a shout out to Turner, who I thought did excellent. He looks like a great keeper. And I thought Taiwo, even though he didn't score, I think he played a brilliant frontman's role, chasing everything down. I thought it was an amazing assist for the goal. How he outmuscled that guy, chested it down, and just put it on a plate. And there was some good. There was some good. And now, same as I came away last night thinking, well, we didn't win, but this for the future, this is looking good.
Yep, cool. Okay, very quickly.
That's not bad.
I don't want a full echo chamber. We can ask you the next question. Right?
I was going to start off with, first of all, I'm not taking any fucking notice of what Dino says about future formations.
No, don't.
But other than that, yes, you're right, Wolverine. I pretty much agree with everything the guys say. Yeah. So let's.
Okay, I want to ask you, Ant. Was it a goal for them? They're 2-1. All the 3 Burnley fans that exist in this world are crying about it. Yeah. They're literally crying about it. And I'll quote, let me just quote them. If Taiwo's was a goal, who scored their goal? Whoever it was, some shitter. Theirs is a goal as well. That's literally the argument they're making. Was it handball down the other end? Chat, yes or no? Same question.
They're very silly people, aren't they? Because the reason why Taiwo, the goal that we scored from Taiwo chesting it down is because Taiwo chested it down. It never went near his fucking arm, right? Yeah. Now, as far as I'm aware, in the rules, when the ball comes over to you, you're not allowed to put your arm up, carry it, and then put it down on the pitch and then play on. You're not allowed to do that. That's why the goal was disallowed. Okay? So we've got that established. So stop being so silly. All right? Yeah. The goal we scored was perfectly legit. The goal you had disallowed was disallowed for a perfectly legit reason. Okay? Get over it.
Let me give you the argument they're making, Ed. Let me give you the argument they're making. Yeah. The argument they're making, they're referring back to, I don't know if you remember the Middlesbrough goal against Man United in the Cup either last year or the year before. The person who in the build-up handballed it because he didn't score the goal and squared it to the player, therefore it doesn't count as handball. Now that is in the rules. However, what happens then is the act of the handball needs to be interpreted as deliberate or not. If it's interpreted as not a deliberate handball, it's not a. If it's interpreted as deliberate handball, it's handball. If it's not, then the goal should stand. So the crux of the question now, if you followed all of that, is did he deliberately handle that ball?
Yes. And not only that, why do we get mixed up in all this silly business about if this, if that, if that? It's football. Just watch the game. If the ball comes over and the guy controls it and you get a goal from it, I don't care how long ago it was. I don't care if he scored or if he passed it or whatever. It's a bloody handball. It's bloody simple. People get so caught up in this. Well, in the rules, it says this. And when it happened 3 years ago at Leicester against Stoke, it doesn't matter. Think about it. It's simple. It's a simple game. The ball comes over. It's his arm. Without that, he wouldn't have controlled the ball.
Yeah.
Simple. Without that hitting his arm, he wouldn't have controlled the ball. He wouldn't have controlled the ball. The ball would have flowed past him. So come on, grow up.
I've got to say, I agree with everything you're saying. It's funny to see those 3 Burnley fans that they have crying about it. What I will say is what a donkey McKenna was, the way he tried to tackle him, man. It was pathetic.
That's when Dino said that Cooper was quite critical of the defender. That's what the particular incident was on about. So he was trying to say, never mind the handball. It was the defending I was pissed off at.
Yeah. And then Worrell let the man across him. Worrell let the man across him in the middle. That's my worry about those two. They played well all game, and then those critical mistakes is what worries me. But listen, we are 8th in the league. We are 5 games in with 7 points on the board. Goal difference of 0, which is, I think, 9 better than we were this time last season. So things are positive. But the hardest game in football is upon us on Saturday. And of course, we will be building up towards that all this week. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed a bit more structure to the show. Appreciate all of you who are in here, all the likes, all the super chats. Please do subscribe. Hit that like button if you haven't already. We'll be back tomorrow with a daily. And then there's all kinds of live stuff coming up for you. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Come on, you Reds.